Okay, today we're going to talk about the iron worker. This here is what we use in the shop for the shear. We have a shear down here. We have a angle iron shear up here. And we have a punch attachment on this side. I'm going to show you how to run each one of them, how to be safe while you're doing it. This button here is the on button. This is the off button. Turn it on. This pedal right here makes it work. One thing I want you to notice is when the iron worker is moving, all three attachments are working at the same time. The punch, the angle iron shear, and the sheet metal shear are all working at the same time. So it's important that you're not hanging around on it. You notice all this here? Good place, good pinch point. Keep your hands away from it. Don't be leaning on the machine. Okay? I'll shut it off so you can hear it a little better. So we'll cut a piece of sheet metal, just so happen to have one. This is 14 gauge by 6. This is some of your certification pieces. This right here, this piece of angle iron, your metal gets trued up with it, and it'll make a 90-degree cut as long as it's up against this. This is your stop for 90 degrees. This is your hold down bar. So you put it where you want it. You adjust the hold down bar down so it will hold the metal. This here's a roller. This will hold the metal up so it don't droop off the machine. Okay? So you have the piece of metal in, you have it marked where you want it to be cut, and you have the hold down holding the metal down. Turn the power on. Got it? Loosen the hold down. So there's our piece that we cut. Now I'll show you how to use the angle iron shear. So we'll use a new word today. The width of a cut is called the kerf, K-E-R-F. So whenever you're cutting something, I'm going to mark that at 4 inches. When this machine cuts it, it's going to take 1/4 of an inch of this angle iron and it'll be trash. So the width of a cut is called the kerf. So it's important when you're lining your mark up here, which side of that kerf your mark's on, because it might make it 1/4 inch short or 1/4 inch long, right? So if this is the piece that you're wanting, you line it up on the back side of that mark, and the piece that drops out over there will be exactly what you wanted it to be. If this is the piece that you're wanting to keep, and the short piece is going to be the drop, then you line it up with this mark, okay? And I'll cut it. This door should be shut unless you're using it for the shear like we are right now. Put the angle iron up in there. Line your mark up, push the button. Here's the piece that we cut, and here's the piece that is the kerf, the width of the cut, the part of the metal that's missing now, okay? And that's going to be put in the trash. Everybody see how we cut the angle on there? Now we will set up the punch. The punch consists of the punch and the die. So when you're setting up the punch, the die and the punch have to be the same size. 1/2 inch die, 1/2 inch punch. Everybody understand that? So when you get it, you put the 1/2 inch die and the 1/2 inch punch. This here's the nut that holds that. This here's held down right here. When you get it all ready, you make sure that the punch and the die are lined up. So the punch goes in the die, right? What happens if those are misaligned? It breaks both the punch and the die. So all punch setups have to be inspected by your instructor before you can set up the punch. You can set it up, but I have to come and look at it to make sure it's set up properly, okay? This is the guard, the hold down. It has to be put in place. All guards have to be on at all times. Okay? Here's your metal. We're just going to cut a hole in an 1/8 inch piece of aluminum. Turn the metal on, the machine on. Come right over here. Set the punch. Punch. Okay, put a hole in it. Most of the time we're not just putting a random hole. I would show you how to lay it out. So you might have to put several holes in a piece of metal. But very seldom do you just get to put a hole in a piece of metal in any old spot. It usually has to go in a certain location. So kind of in conclusion, what I showed you today was the iron worker. You have the shear. Your metal has to be up against this angle for it to cut a 90 degrees. This is your hold down. This guard always has to be on these machines, all guards. You cut it. Here's the angle iron shear. When not in use, you put that back down. Here's the punch. Got the metal hold down, you have the punch and the die. This has to all be inspected by your instructor before operating. Down here is the pedal, that foot actuation. These two levers right here will allow for the punch to go down farther or the machine to cut farther or not as much. So you can adjust the stroke, the downstroke and the return stroke. This here is a metal roller that you put a piece of metal on so it didn't just hang off of it. There's several grease zerks in it and there's lots of pinch points. So we do not want to be wallering on the machine. This is your area right here or right here. And you have to just stand on your own 2 feet and not be leaning up against the machine while somebody's running it because all this moves at one time. Okay, thank you.